And two special guests are joining me to take forward the conversation on Constitution Day celebrations and the unique manner in which it has been planned. Let me quickly introduce you to the guests who are joining me in the program. Sanjay K Chadha, advocate with the Supreme Court, and also Snehlata Srivastavav, former Secretary General, Lok Sabha. Good afternoon and warm welcome to both our guests. Mr. Chadha, if I can come to you first, 75th year of independence. At the heart of independent and empowered India lies its constitution. How do you see, as a person of law, the significance of this day?
Very much, dear friend. I must tell you, the constitution is the grand norm. It is the biggest law from where other laws drive their strength, other laws drive their its energy, I must say. The path which is shown by the constitution is followed in various other forms of statutes, laws, judgments, and that is the grand norm, first. Second, I feel with this, with the constitution, the energy is given to the poorest of the poor person. Energy is given to all the people of the India, equality before law, and all the fundamental principles are enshrined in our constitution. Constitution of India is the biggest document, is the biggest constitution of the world, and which is serving the biggest democracy of the world. So I feel it is a great day of celebration. And we are approaching 75th year. As far as the constitution is concerned, 71 years have gone, and we have seen in these 71 years, the constitution has really given a great power to the masses. So it is strength to each one of us, even to me, to you, to each one of us.
The way it brings us all on the same platform, makes us all equal before law, Sanjay. It also makes one wonder the manner in which it was framed, the people who framed it, put it together, the Constituent Assembly, debates. From your own learning experience and reading of the history, if you can take us through what it really took to make this constitution, so that we can then go on to talk about the celebrations and the day.
Look, it is the hard work of the Constituent Assembly, which was headed by Baba Sahab Ambedkar ji, and we are also celebrating 131st birth anniversary of Baba Sahab, and it is, I can imagine what hard work it has taken. First, we have, all these people who were involved in it, they understood, read the other constitution, German constitution, American constitution, and what not. From everywhere we took that strength. We took the positive points from each of the constitution all across the world. And then we formed this constitution, and which has really given, I would say, it is heart and soul of our democracy, because of which everything is happening in this country. You have to abide by rule of law. You have to see that the rule of law prevails, and law is equal for everybody. It is not that, the person who is rich, powerful will get a different treatment. A person who is at a better footing would get something extra. It is not like that. Rather, this constitution gives us the strength of affirmative action. The people who are weaker, people who are downtrodden, people who have less energy, are given more. That is what is the beauty. And this part of the affirmative action, if I want to say something on that, affirmative action has given us so much strength that even the American Constitution and all those people, they give they give a good word to our constitution. They say, look, in India, this is what is the beauty which is happening. So it's great constitution, and I'm very glad to report to all the listeners here, all the people who are watching us, that in these 71, 72 years, the constitution is being protected by the judiciary and the and we are governed by system of checks and balances
Right.
wherever that is what a beautiful constitution is given to us by the constitution makers.
Right. It certainly is a document, Sanjay, that governs our destiny and the destiny of the nation. You rightly put it, the manner of great deal of respect for constitution across all stratas of society, as there should be. But what is also truth is that we don't know how many of us are able to engage with the content of the constitution, to be able to study it closely. You're an advocate with Supreme Court. You engage with law, with the source of all laws, the constitution. How significant do you think it is for youngsters? I mean, we do have civics subject in school, but on a daily basis, given how closely it governs our life on a daily basis, how important it is to engage with the constitution, especially the youngsters, Sanjay?
I really feel that it is a very dynamic thing. It is a good idea. Why? Because today, if youngsters are not aware of what kind of society we are living, what kind of law are governing us, they will be not very, they will not be strengthened. Tomorrow will be strengthened if they know that we are governed by this kind of constitution which gives equality to everybody, which is based on, which has, secularism is the is something which is mandatory for us. We can't change all these things. All those, equality before law, equal protection of law for everybody. There are many such things, that everything, the right to life is there, right to life. And what an extension is given by the constitution, under the constitution, and further expanded by the judiciary. So it is very necessary that each one of us should know what are our rights. And of course, at that point of time, it is also necessary to know what are our duties. So all these things, when we will be knowing, when it is being taught to us properly. Yes, you have rightly said that civic is a subject, and some people read political science also.
Right.
But fortunately, this new project I was reading about, and what the creation of these two portals, we'll talk about that later. But what I feel as a thumb rule, everybody should know what are their rights, what are their duties, and that will be known to each one once they basically go through, they read, they come to know about what are the aspects of law. So the constitution is the basis of law on
Right.
which other laws are there.
Right. Given the importance of the constitution, Sanjay, it can also be intimidating sometimes, to consider opening and reading through it. And in that case, the preamble to the constitution is a beautiful document. All of us growing up in school would read it on different occasions, and it really, in the most simplest of language, tells us and tells the world what India is all about.
Exactly. And not only that, that is the gist of the entire
Yes.
constitution in one page. You have to appreciate the entire constitution, which I just mentioned, that is the biggest constitution of the world.
Yes.
And such, the gist of the constitution is produced in the preamble. By reading the constitution preamble, you can understand, you can get a broad idea about what is enumerated, what is given in our lovely constitution. By just mere reading of preamble, you can know what is written, what are the ideas, what are the dynamism of the constitution makers. You can go through the preamble and you will come to know about it.
Absolutely. And India today is one of the largest and successful working democracies in the world. Sanjay, the very first line of the preamble is beautiful. We, the people of India as one collective, all the people together take up this constitution. So in that manner, it really talks about the way democracy is at the heart of how we govern ourselves in the country. And it's an example for the world to emulate today.
Yes, you just see, that is the beauty. Whether a person is rich, powerful, or a person who is down the line at the top, at the bottom, where he is not powerful at all, where he is just a simple plain worker, the equality is given to them. The law protects not only the top-notch person, but also a person who is down the line. The law gives him the protection as well. This is what is the biggest, I think, feature of our constitution. Then that is what I just said. And we see that the judiciary has played an important role. But I must say, there is much more to be done. There is no doubt about it. Then on this Constitution Day, as you just mentioned, that we are trying to spread the awareness, spreading the legal awareness among the people is another very important task. There are many people who are working on it, and I feel really very excited about it. That after 2 days, our President of India is about to open these 2 portals, which you just mentioned,
right?
And they will certainly help the country in spreading the legal awareness among its masses, because we treat each one equal. So each one should also know what are their rights, what are their, what they are supposed to get from this country. Each one are equal in the eyes of law. This should be known. And we have seen, minded, initially we used to see there were so many people who used to remain deprived. Now the governments, various previous governments also, and even the current government is doing lot for the people who are little suppressed, and they are being the government is doing regular work for upliftment of these people. So
right.
That from where this spirit comes, Shipindu, this spirit comes from the Constitution only.
Absolutely,
So
and we'll take further this engagement, this conversation on the spirit of India, spirit of the Constitution. Sanjay, do stay with us. We're heading for a short break. There's lots more coming up in our conversation. And in fact, Sanjay ji is with us. Sanjay ji, once again, if you can take us through that period of the churning, through that period of learning that took place when the nation builders put their minds and souls together to make this document, because I think that's a very, very crucial period in the history of our country.
It is one of the most important period, I would say. And during that time, when the Constitution, each and every article, each and every subject was dealt in minutest possible way. If I may give you an example of one example I can give is, I remember when the Constitution drafting meeting was going on, during the meeting, the Constitution makers, the Constituent Assembly, they discussed about freedom of speech and expression. So there were the entire committee, as ma'am has just said, 184 members were there. They were divided into 2 groups. One group was saying that this right of freedom of speech and expression should be an absolute right. Now, what is the meaning of absolute right? Means it should be, everybody should have right to speech and expression to its fullest. He can say anything. Now, there was one side, they were saying that there should not be any restriction on this right. And there was other side which was saying, under Rajendra Prasad ji, they were saying, no, this right cannot be given in full. So later on, the Constituent Assembly analyzed the entire world. They could not find even a single country where this right was given in absolute. This right is not given in absolute. It was the crux. So they decided Article 19(1)(a) is freedom of speech and expression. There will be reasonable restrictions. Because, the plea taken by those people who were opposing the restrictions, they said, we are under, if there is a restriction on the freedom of speech and expression, that means we are in the British colonial era. We have not shifted from there. But when, I still remember the words of Rajendra Prasad ji, he said that it cannot be an absolute right, absolute freedom. There are reasonable restrictions, and that is very valid. You can't blame anybody. So defamation is a reasonable restriction. You can't talk anything which is against the sovereignty, integrity of the nation. You can't So all that kind of 7-8 restrictions which were in the category of reasonable restrictions. So that's how each and every point was discussed in those constituent assembly meetings. And if I may tell you, the number of meetings which took place for discussing this constitution were the maximum in the world. Nowhere in framing of the constitution this number of meetings took place. So that is what a hard, they have produced the soul of the hard work which they have done in creating this constitution. They have taken the best of the best points of all over the constitution, all across the world. All the nations, the fundamental document was checked, and then the things which were adoptable to our country was taken. Not only that, one last line I would like to say is this, that it is not that we have adopted them verbatim, we have adopted them as it is. No, they have shifted, they have translated, they have amended it to the needs of India. So that's what the beautiful constitution we have.
Absolutely, and we'll continue our engaging conversation for some more minutes. We're heading for a short break. There's lots more coming up. Also, a special guest joins us when we return. Back, you're watching In Focus. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, and we're talking about the upcoming celebrations of Constitution Day on 26th of November. Let me quickly introduce you to the third guest who are joining us in the conversation, Professor Randheer Singh, former Vice Chancellor, National Law University. Good afternoon and welcome, Professor Singh. Someone who is engaged all your life with law, how do you see the importance of this founding document, the Constitution, and thereby the importance of 26th of November, Constitution Day? Sir.
I will share one of very important incidents which happened with me. I happened to go to Nepal. Okay. They were in the process of framing their constitution, and they were working on the 6th draft. And the whole Constitution Committee, I was in the SAC law, being a vice president there. So they were asking views from different people. K.K. Venugopal was also there. So they said what was special about India, that they could complete this drafting of this Constitution in less than 3 years. I said that all those leaders were so tall leaders above the fog that they did not put their self-interest before the nation, and for every leader who was concerned with drafting the Constitution of India, put the nation first and then everything else later on. So that was the reason. Those were the kind of leaders, that those who were responsible for framing this Constitution, that it was completed in less than 3 years. And another important landmark in history was, it was the same time when the Universal Periodic Review of Human Rights was also being drafted. And we see the impact of that document on the Constitution of India in the form of fundamental rights and also in the Preamble. And whenever we go abroad and talk about the Indian Constitution, of course it is the lengthiest Constitution, and but at the same time, people are very appreciative of what we have in our Preamble. The Preamble of the Constitution of India is one of the most beautiful phrased preamble in the world, because it captures all important landmarks of democracy, and especially when we say we promote justice, social, economic, and political, and to mandate these important phrases which we have used in the Preamble, we find that the fundamental rights thereby has taken care of all these important landmarks provided in the Preamble of the Constitution. And then liberty, fraternity, equality, dignity of the individual, and all these important things have been taken care of, which are very, very important for any nation for the promotion of the rule of law. And then followed by the fundamental rights, and especially Article 14 and 21, we find that 21 has been given such a wide amplitude by the Supreme Court of India that you can find anything interpreted in Article 21. And beyond that, the directive principles of the state policy. and then the fundamental duties. I think this landscape, starting with the preamble of the Constitution, and then a very beautiful edifice of the fundamental rights, and then the directive principle of the state policy, which guides us in framing our various laws for the welfare of the people of India, and then fundamental duties are some of the landmarks which probably anybody can emulate in framing their constitution. I think it's a wonderful document framed by the constitution makers.
Right, Professor Singh, true to the academician that you have been, you've really taken us through the various parts of the Constitution in such an interesting and brief manner, sir. But I want to return to the anecdote that you began with. Less than 3 years to frame a document that continues and will continue to determine the destiny of the nation. If you could take us through what it took really. We of course are talking about the tallest of leaders and their intellect, but what was the process like? There were a lot of debates, Constituent Assembly debates, some of which our guest Mr. Chadha also gave us insights on. If you could also take us through that rigor that our leaders engaged themselves in to make this document.
That in a very short span of time it will not be possible. But I can narrate you another incident, that in one of the, I will not name the leader, but in one of the meetings, very important meetings which was going on in the process of framing the constitution, somebody came and spoke something in the ear of the chairperson of the committee. And for a moment, the chairperson was upset, and everybody thought there is something wrong, and he was absolutely silent. And then he said, carry on. After some time, people asked him, what was wrong? He said, I lost my only son in plague in Surat. But since I cannot join the cremation, and I have no time, and I can't leave this important meeting with which we are engaged because we have a timeline of framing the constitution. So let us carry on, friends, and whatever has happened has happened. But the constitution making is more important. Can you believe leaders like this, that people will give such an importance to the framing of the constitution? Now this is the kind of tall leaders we had, those who were framing this constitution.
Right.
And and there were people from not that there were people from all walks of life, and free and fair discussions on almost each and every topic. And by consensus, then they will decide that what decisions to take and what is to be deleted, what is to be taken into consideration seriously in the Constitution of India. And that's how they could give us such a document, because they were all very dedicated.
And talking about the galaxy of leaders, how can we not mention Dr. Ambedkar, we grew up learning about as the architect of the Constitution? How do you see for someone like Dr. Ambedkar to be chosen to really shape the Constitution, and the shape that he did give to the Constitution that continues to hold the nation together in one thread? How do you see the significance of that, both the personality and his legacy?
I think the most important contribution of Ambedkar was when he said, okay, the Constitution is framed, but how it will operate will depend on the people, those who are behind the Constitution, how they make it effective, how they will implement the various provisions of the Constitution. Any good Constitution can turn to be bad if the people implementing are not very good. And any bad Constitution can turn out to be very good if the people implementing are very good. I think that is a prophetic statement of the revered, most respected Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as far as the Constitution is concerned. Because the life, as far as the provisions are concerned, and the life can be put into the Constitution by the Constitution, not only by the Constitution makers, but by the subsequent leaders who will implement this Constitution. So implementation part in the right spirit in which the Constitution was framed is very, very significant.
Right.
I think that was a very, very important statement by B.R. Ambedkar.
Right, and in that spirit, Professor Singh, what the nation does with its constitution has much to do with how much we know about it, how deeply do we engage with it as individuals, as youngsters, as people of this country. In that context, sir, the kind of celebration that has been planned in the days ahead, portals where people can read the preamble with the president. So in that sense also equality before the law, the first citizen and everyone else can together stand and read the preamble. How significant it is to infuse knowledge of law and the constitution to every citizen. Law students, of course, they are trained, but to everyone else, how significant it is for us to engage.
I would like to make a very, very significant other suggestion in this regard. As you mentioned that students of law may be knowing the constitution or the preamble, but I seriously believe that the Constitution of India should be a compulsory reading in each and every discipline. It may be engineering, it may be MBA, it may be political science, it may be medical. The Constitution of India should be a compulsory reading in each and every discipline in this country, because that is how you create awareness, that is how you create capacity building, that's how you make people aware of the importance of the Constitution. I seriously believe that.
Right. Sanjay Chadha, if I can come to you, talking about knowledge of constitution, we are in the living through the information age. There is always access of information, open social media, and you would get information of all kinds, whether or not you're seeking it. In such a challenging environment, how significant it is to really know as closely as possible the constitution that governs our country. As Professor Singh just mentioned, it should be compulsory reading, and it should in fact also be something that people should pick up by themselves, whether or not they've been part of formal education. How significant it is to train, to learn for every individual, every citizen of the country, their guiding document.
I totally agree with what Dr. Singh has said. What he said, that everybody should know. That's how you will be knowing what are your rights. As Srivastava madam said, then you will also know what are your duties. And how you will know? When somebody will tell you, when it is part of your curriculum. As it should be rather a compulsory subject, compulsory topic to be taught to all the students. I totally agree with it, because if you don't know the law of land, how you will be living in this scenario, in such scenario. It is very, very essential, it is very, very necessary. From that point of view, I feel that everybody should know what are the law, what is the system in which they are living, what laws are there, how. So constitution, from where other laws derive their force. So it is very, very necessary for each one of us to know what is the constitution. And for that particular purpose, I feel, as you have just mentioned, in the current era of social media plays a crucial role. We must put across such knowledge all across, so that our people, each one of us, should know what is there in the spirit of the constitution. And preamble is one of the, the gist of the constitution is given in the preamble. So at least preamble should be known to each one of us, number one. And then based upon that, we'll also be knowing what is there in the constitution, what are our rights, what are our duties, and we have to see that these are properly implemented as such.
Right.
And when it will empower you. And mind it is an old saying that for a vibrant democracy, the knowledgable or known citizen is essential. Once you know, then only you will be able to properly vote for whom you should vote, what the commitment is, and all those things. So for the better functioning of democracy also, this is necessary, I think.
If the organs of the government, if you talk about the judiciary, empowered citizens who are aware, familiar about their rights and duties, Sanjay, that also in a way makes the work of the judiciary to some extent easier when you're dealing with people who know their rights, who know what the law of the land is.
Yes, and on the other hand, there is an old saying, the criminal justice justice system says that even if you don't know the law, if you commit some offense, this can't be a ground that, look, I don't know the law. This cannot be a ground for you being exonerated for any offense. So what I wanted to say in a very, very polite manner, that everybody should know what is the law of the land. And to begin with, I think this constitution, the knowing of the constitution is also very, very important. At least this should be propagated. This should be so widely put across before the masses so that they know what is there in the constitution.
Absolutely crucial to learn and know about the document that really guides the destiny of our nation and of each of us as individuals as well. We had to come back. You're watching In Focus. Our conversation continues about the upcoming celebrations of the Constitution Day on 26th of November. Snehlata Srivastavav, ma'am, if I can come to you. With your rich experience of working as former Secretary General Lok Sabha, take us also through your experience of engaging with different generations of leadership, of people's representative, the manner in which they contributed to the empowerment of the nation, reflecting on the Constitution and thereby also making it stronger.
You see, in my 3 years term in the Lok Sabha as Secretary General, I have closely worked with the leaders of parties and honorable members of parliament and all the functionaries of parliamentary affairs, ministry and various ministries, ministers, etc. I find that, when I was from the other side, was looking at the lawmakers, the honorable members of parliament, I had a different impression about them. But when I watch them closely, I find that they work, 24 hours for their constituency, for the constitution, for the parliament, for the knowledge giving, and having very quality kind of debate in the parliament. They really have to work very hard and to make every proposal or a bill to take its logical, conclusion or to make it a law. There's lot of discussion take place, and they have to raise all kinds of matters related to the nation's importance and their constituency, which makes them always on the toes. And I find there is lot of harmony amongst the leaders of various parties, opposition parties, the party in power. Although when they discuss there in the during the discussion, if any issue comes up which they have to raise as per their party dictate or party ideology, then it becomes slightly different kind, which is seen by people of the country in a different light. But within the parliament, I find there is lot of harmony, and the constitution is uppermost, and they keep that thing in mind.
Right, Professor Singh, just referring to the first phrase of our preamble, we the people of India, and also the manner in which celebrations have been planned ahead, where everyone can stand with the president of the country and read the preamble, the spirit of Jan Bhagidari. How significant is to really focus on that? The people's power really is always the driving force for any democracy, including India.
I think when we say we the people of India, let us all in this country may not forget that we should be more concerned about we the other people of India. There is a huge constituency which need to be helped, cared, raised through these provisions provided in the Constitution of India, and for whom even today the Constitution doesn't have much of significance. So it is very important if we seriously mean what is provided in the preamble, as I mentioned earlier also, that we are mandated to promote justice, social, economic and political. We, the other people of India, should be very, very important for us. And when I say we, the other people of India, by that I mean the Harijan, the Dalits, the backward, not so rich, the poor, the downtrodden, the have-nots, and Honorable Justice Krishna used to say that the fourth world within this third world, and the people, those who are not seen by the naked eye. Probably those unseen people should mean more to the Constitution of India and the Constitution people, those who implement this Constitution either at the legislature or as judiciary or as administrators. I think that is significant.
Right, and Sanjay ji, your final thoughts really on the celebrations of the Constitution Day. Values of justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, all of which is enshrined in our Constitution and so beautifully put in the preamble. How significant for the youngster, especially the future of the country, to know that nation building, the spirit of the Constitution is not a finished project but an ongoing one, and their participation becomes absolutely crucial.
No doubt about it, it is an ongoing. We have to see from where we have started. 1947 onwards, so much progress we have seen, and still lot is to be done. We all are well aware of it. In that scenario, we have to see that the new generation knows about the spirit of the constitution makers, and as very rightly said, that till the time our person who is at the bottom will not be uplifted, there is no progress in its true sense. What we will only be able to achieve the success, we will only be able to mark that thing. Please note it, that till the time those people who are downtrodden, those people who are at the bottom are not uplifted. And how we will do that? When the true spirit of the Constitution is known to each one of us. And I really welcome and really appreciate the the efforts done by the program which you just mentioned, that they are going to happen, and they are, I feel, kept in mind. They have kept in mind the young generation. Reading of the preamble, having a quiz on the Constitution, so that they know what is there in the Constitution. That is what is the spirit. And the best part is that each one of the person who are participating in it will get a certificate.
Something to really cherish. On that note, Sanjay Chadha ji, Snehlata ma'am, Professor Randheer Singh, thank you very much for joining us on In Focus and sharing your very, very engaging perspective.
Thank you.
And with that, we also conclude this edition of In Focus. News and updates continue after a short break. Namaskar.